Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Stacy. Now today's video is going to be my TBR for the month of October. So essentially all the books that I obviously want to read in October. I'm just going to quickly start off with some of the books that I didn't get finished reading last month that I had started already. Now if you had watched my TBR for the month of September, you will know that I'm taking part in a readathon by the name of Sarah-a-thon. So essentially this is a readathon where you read a book a week of Sarah J. Maas. I am falling behind. Doesn't surprise me. Anyways, I'm hoping to finish Heir of Fire and hopefully Queen of Shadows. Now I know I said it's basically a book of hers a week. These are big chunkers. I'm falling behind. I'm just gonna start going at my own pace. I would like to get the series, the Throne of Glass series, finished before the end of the year. Fingers crossed. But I am so far loving the series. I did kind of want to take a break from them simply because it's, for me, I'm not a huge reader of fantasy. Fantasy is still a new genre for me. But I think it was just a little too much fantasy overload, so I like diversity in the books that I read, so I kind of like to grab from all these different genres. But anyways, I thought maybe just, you know, kind of take a break from fantasy and maybe check out some other books. So I'm also currently reading No Exit, and this is by Taylor Adams. I am over halfway through this book, and I'm loving every minute of it. It is edge of your seat. Don't know what's going to happen next. I love it. If I could, I would, you know, take the week off or take a few days off just to finish this all in one sitting, but that's not realistic. So since it is the month of October, I've kind of picked the books that I want to read for this month kind of all centered around Halloween and just being spooky and scary and horror books, and I just want to read them all. So I have quite an ambitious TBR, which is nothing unusual for me. I had a hard time just kind of narrowing it down to these books because turns out I actually have a lot that are, you know, spooky, thrillers, horror, so these are the ones I've picked. I'm really hoping to take part in Spookathon as well. I will probably have a separate video for that, but let's just get into these books I have here now. Okay, so the first one I have here is called I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and this is by Ian Reid. I've heard a lot of good things and a lot of bad things about this, but we'll see. Anyways, it says, a woman embarks on a road trip with her new boyfriend. Doubts about the relationship claw at the back of her mind. An unexpected detour unravels into a nightmare. Now, I did quickly look at some Goodreads reviews, and they all seem to have the same common, you know, factor, comments, whatever you want to call it. But people are saying it's like messed up, and they're like, what the hell did I just read? So it definitely sounds intriguing. I definitely can't wait to pick it up. And then next I have Hex. And it's my understanding that this is actually originally written in Dutch and it has been translated into English. Okay, now I definitely thought this one sounded creepy. It's about this 17th century witch who, she's haunting this town and her eyes and her mouth are sewn up. And it says here, muzzled, she walks the streets and enters homes at will. She stands next to children's beds for nights on end. Her eyes may never be opened, or the consequences will be too terrible to bear. Now tell me that doesn't sound creepy. And the next one I have here, I actually wanted to read last year in October, but when I had ordered it, I didn't get it until November, so I decided to wait a year. So here we are. We have The Dreadful Tale of Prosper Redding. And this is a middle grade book, so I'm hoping to get through this one pretty quick. So anyways, we follow Prosper Redding, and we find out that he actually has a demon living inside of him. And essentially this story is just about him trying to get this demon out of him. I don't expect this one to be too scary because it's a middle grade, but I still think it sounds like the perfect type of book to read in October. So another book I'd like to read this month is called The Whisper Man, and I don't know, I just, for some reason, I absolutely just love this cover. It just, I don't know, I even think the cover looks kind of creepy. Okay, so this is about a man who's been nicknamed the Whisper Man, and that's simply because he tries to lure people out of their homes simply by going to their windows and whispering to them at night. If that doesn't sound creepy, then I don't know what does, but that's all I need to know. That's scary enough for me. Can't wait to read it. Okay, so the next book I'd like to read is called Nosferatu, and this is by Joe Hill. Now, I've yet to read any of his books, but I thought this would be the perfect opportunity in the month of October because he does write horror, and I heard he's pretty damn good at it, so perfect time. Anyways, there's also, I believe it's a TV show out, so I'm kind of hoping that I can hurry up and get this one read. Well, actually, I'm going to listen to it on audiobook because, again, I heard that was amazing. But once I finish reading this or listening to it, I am going to watch the TV series or movie. I think it's a TV series. Hopefully, I'll get to both of them in the month of October, and I think it's just going to be perfect. And another book I'd like to get to this month is called The Cabin at the End of the World, and this is by Paul Tremblay. Now, in this book, we follow a husband and a husband, as well as their adoptive daughter. Now, they are vacationing at this cabin in the woods. One day, the daughter's outside playing in the yard when this stranger approaches her, and she refers to him as the biggest man she's ever seen. And he just says to her, "None of what's going to happen is your fault. You haven't done anything wrong. But the three of you will have to make some tough decisions. I wish with all my broken heart you didn't have to. Your dads don't want to let us in, but they have to. We need your help to save the world, please." This is another book I've heard mixed reviews on. Some people really love it. Some people hate it. They said it's very different and unusual, and that perks my attention every time, so yeah. And another book I like to get to this month is called The Yellow Wallpaper. Now, this is a short story, but I do plan on listening to it on audiobook. I believe it's only 40 minutes long, so I should be able to get through it pretty quick. But essentially, this is about a man, and he rents this old mansion during the summer for himself and his wife. Now, his wife suffers from depression, and because of that, he doesn't want her working and just kind of wants her to stay home and get better. But she starts to get bored because she doesn't really have anything to do. And when she looks at this wallpaper, she starts to see like faces in it. Now, it's my understanding that this book is actually told in different journal entries, so I love the sounds of that. I am like super stoked to read this one. I think it is going to be pretty creepy. And I would also like to get to In the Tall Grass by Stephen King and Joe Hill. I'm actually hoping to listen to this one on audiobook as well. Okay, so this book is about a brother and sister. They pull over alongside the road after they hear this little boy crying for help beyond this long grass. So they get out and they go looking for him. And they end up getting disoriented, they get lost, they lose each other in this like really long grass, and the story just goes from there. You can just imagine all the horrors that happen based on who has written this book. So eager to read this one. I actually haven't heard a lot of people talk about it, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And the last one I'd like to get to is called The Dead House. Now, I had this one on my TBR last October, never got to it, so I'm really hoping to get to it this time. It's also a book that's told in a different format, so I believe there's like journal entries, I think there's newspaper clippings, you know, just stuff like that. You get the gist. So in this book, there's this school that has burnt down. 3 kids end up dying and then 1 goes missing. And then fast forward 25 years later, they find this diary. And I think this diary kind of possibly explains what happened, and it just happens to be something totally opposite than what they thought had actually happened. So anyways, those are all the books that I'm hoping to read in October. Watch out for my Spookathon TBR because I'll have that posted soon. But I would love to hear what books you plan on reading for October. If you have any spooky or scary or horror books that you'd like to recommend, let me know in the comments below. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more from me, please hit that subscribe button. Until next time, happy reading. Bye!